It's time for the Voice of Reason podcast. Here are your hosts, Sean Phillips, Andy Van Beber, and Travis Kirkendall.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is Tuesday, August 29th. The year is 2023. This is the Voice of Reason podcast. My name is Sean Phillips. As always, I am joined alongside my two co-hosts, Mr. Andrew Van Beber and Travis Kirkendall. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing on this lovely Tuesday evening? Travis, I know that you are you're a little bit in the weather right now. You got higher than a kite earlier today. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's definitely what happened.
Yes, literally. Tell us about the view there, Travis, behind you. What was that from?
I was working up in Port Washington, Wisconsin today. It's just north of Milwaukee. And it's right off the lake there. You can't really see it in that photo, I don't think, but like the storm, it wasn't really a storm, it was just a big rain cloud. It missed us just north, but I was like, right as I was coming down, I was watching it coming in. So I was like, took a picture of it really quick and it watched it go over the lake, and
And
it was kind of cool.
what's the height there? What height are we at there?
150,
Oh,
160,
that's
maybe 200. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah. Well, so what was that? That's wussy height right there, right? I mean, that's bush league right there, right?
That's an average day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's phoning it in. He doesn't care. He's bad. Man. Well, boys, I'm going to tell you, I'm glad that the first week of school is over, and I hate the first week of school, but I am glad that it is over, and to get through the first week of school is just, it's like death to me, because you're used to sleeping in until I call sleeping in until 7:30, and I'm getting up at 5, and now I'm going and hitting the Y in the morning, and
There you go.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, that's kicking my butt too. And
What have you been doing in the Y? Like, you
we've
got like a
been
routine going, or
I'm
what you?
doing so I didn't get my full routine in last week because of the heat, because Briley has to go to Thursday and Friday last week. Briley had to be at cross country practice at 6 a.m. because of the stupid heat, and so I only got to do my swim and my treadmill, and I'm gonna try to implement weights in there somehow and get weights going and all that good stuff. So I've got
Nice.
an app that a friend of mine's kind of piggybacking me off of her subscription, and so it's kind of it gives you good routines and everything like that. So we'll see how that works out, and it's whatever, I guess. But Sean, how was your weekend, buddy?
My weekend was great. We Friday we went to a back to school barbecue I went with the girls and the family, and Julian got to run around like crazy. We met a couple of different parents that are, their kids are in Julian's class. Saturday we went on a really nice hike out of Will Rogers State Park, watched a little bit of polo, which was fun. And then after that, we went to a soccer game, and Saturday we went to church and just kind of relaxed for the rest of the day, hit the reset. So no, it was a good weekend.
That's good. Yeah, I did I did Thursday night. I did back to school movie night, which is our tradition. It's cool. And then we had Friday night. I'm doing the PA for the Louisiana Bulldogs, and they played Bowling Green, and that was painful to watch. Bowling Green actually has a D1 recruit playing football for them this year, and so
Ooh.
that was painful.
So we don't stand a chance, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Louisiana got run roughshod over, and then Saturday was our good friend Stephen Talbert got married, and while I was at the wedding, I got a few shout outs from the old podcast, and and said keep up all the good work and everything. Our good friend Martin Hanley was so impressed with our show last week, boys. He said to pass it along to you. He actually texted me last Wednesday morning, the night after the podcast, and he said, "Man, that was a knockdown show last night. You guys did a great job. We got a lot of great comments on the Twitter feed or on the TikTok feed and everything." Of course, somebody always has to crack a joke about the fat guy. So, thank you. There you go. Yeah, crack the joke about the fat guy, but there you go.
Just give him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is. So, but it was good. And Travis, you got your nice quiet weekend in this weekend, I'm sure too.
It was pretty relaxed. I've now officially finished with all the painting. I had to redo a couple things.
Did you get the flooring?
So now
is the flooring done?
No, that's what next now. I had to redo a bunch of stuff. Like I made some mistakes and I had to fix some of my edges, and then I went ahead and got my closet doors done and everything. So literally all I have to do now is just the floor and put the closet door back on. I got my shelf put back in the closet too, so that's literally it. And then switch out some outlets, but that's not like the floor is next.
Yeah.
Open to start tomorrow after work.
Well, I also forgot to mention last Wednesday I also got over by members of my fantasy draft. Mr. Phil. Everybody that.
I don't even want to hear it. Yeah, there's no way you got effed over.
Yeah.
At all.
Hey, but I will tell you this much though, Sean, and you'll be impressed with it. I did watch the first episode of the HBO Hard Knocks with your boy Aaron Rodgers and practice with the Jets. And actually, that's my first season ever watching Hard Knocks on HBO, so that's actually a pretty good series too. But anyway, enough about all that, boys. I need to know: have Travis? I already know Travis has not heard the song yet, the trending song that has spent the second week in a row at number one on country Billboard's Hot 100 list. Sean,
nope, it is not Jason Aldean, folks.
Try that in a small town.
Yeah, now from what I've heard, this is actually a real country song and not that country poppy-esque. So.
Oh, this is the real deal. This is the real deal.
I've heard good things. I've heard actually good things about this guy. I'd like to give him a listen. I've heard he's actually a legitimate artist and not just your.
Yeah, he's got an interesting story. Well, for those of you who haven't heard it yet, or you've lived under a rock or whatever, or you just don't listen to country music like the boys and I do. So here it is. This is Oliver Anthony. A little bit about this. Oliver Anthony lives in Farmville, Virginia. He had been recently, from what I understand, was recently laid off from I believe a factory job of some sort, and he is not. I have yet to hear if he's not identified as a Republican or a Democrat, even though
I have a statement on that.
Well, let's wait on that. Let's just go ahead and play the song first.
Okay.
And then we'll get to it. So here's the song.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to. For people like me, people like you, wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do. Shit, and it's taxed to no end, cause the rich men, wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men north of Richmond. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
So there you go. And this was originally broadcast on Radio West Virginia. And like I said, this guy's from Farmville. He lives in Farmville, Virginia. And this was released on August 8th, so this was, what is today? Is this the 29th? So this was released 3 weeks.
It is the 29th.
So this was released 3 weeks ago today. 48 million views, over 48 million views on just this channel alone. And like I said, he's actually turned down, from what I've understood, he's turned down one record deal already. So, you know, what was the statement you said that you had, Travis? What was?
Regarding his political stance, he made a statement I saw on Facebook where he's like, people have been asking me, and he basically laid it all out. Like, look, I don't follow any political party. I'm not left or right. I'm not MAGA. I'm not Democrat. I'm none of that. I don't follow any of that stuff. There was something along the lines of that. And regarding like him not taking the contract for the deal you were referring to, I saw another statement that he made where he was like, "Look, I don't want to go tour. I don't want to be this famous, star or nothing. I want to have a quiet life with my family," and that kind of thing is kind of what was the gist of his statement that he made regarding that too. That's my first time hearing that song, and definitely, there's someone who studies music quite a bit. That's definitely somewhat more like a bluesy kind of folk, like old school, like the 30s and 40s kind of sound.
That's exactly what I thought.
Which is kind of cool to hear.
Yeah,
that was kind of interesting. And there's a lot to unpack with a lot of the statements he said. I mean, for starters, he hits the nail on the head for a lot of the stuff. I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, what's like, the dollar ain't shit? You want to start there?
Mean, I've part of me is I've heard this song so many times now that but the message still resonates, and our buddy Travis Pruitt says he loves the song. He says he hits the nail on everything. And Cassie LaFave, or Cassie McGuire, says Oliver Anthony is actually a stage name dedicated to his grandfather. His real name is Christopher. Did not know that. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
So, one of the things that I have when you talk about starting this statement about money, and we all three are at different parts of, it's safe to say, the middle class. But when he says, to quote him directly, the dollar ain't shit. And I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but or to even gain sympathy. This last month and a half, and Janine and I both Janine got her first pay raise today. And we've been, I mean, I'm not going to lie, boys, it's been a struggle to make ends meet the last couple of weeks. And oh yeah, let's see that baby there. Come on, Dad, go back. Come on, we got to see that baby there. Yeah. But but it drives me nuts that since I've lived here at Louisiana and what our budget, and I've got to look at the budget again. I mean, groceries, the money that I originally budget for groceries, just it's not, my refrigerator. It's like, man, I can't wait till Janine gets paid so we can go get some groceries because it doesn't stretch as far anymore. I mean, that to me,
well, inflation's just killing everybody right now. It's literally crushing the middle class, and I mean,
your Bob is done.
There's a lot you could even go into with that, but I mean, he's not wrong with his statement. I mean, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. They're still talking about doing further rate hikes and stuff like that, and our dollar is just becoming worth less and less and less, and I think everyone's feeling it. I mean, if I tell it with her, like, we make more money now than we did when we lived in Chicago, and yet we're tighter on money now than when we were in Chicago.
Right.
It's like, but we don't even spend more. We spend about the same as we did 2-3 years ago, and yet it's like, I shouldn't say obviously we spend more due to inflation, but as far as like our means of like living and stuff like that hasn't changed. Like, we haven't gone above our means by anything. It's just everything's becoming more expensive.
And how is
I think a lot of people are feeling that.
Well, how is that? And I mean, Sean's got his hands full there, but I mean, as new father there and soon to be new father with you, Travis, I mean, I don't even want to begin to think about, I mean, I remember both of my kids have been out of diapers now 8+ years, 9+ years. The price of diapers, formula, Judas Priest formula was ridiculous. And this whole idea, and it traces back. We're actually studying the turn of the century right now in my U.S. history class, and the idea, we're revisiting this idea that I think was at the beginning of the 1800s. I don't know if you guys remember this term or not, but there was a term that was coined by historians way back in the day. It's called social Darwinism, and the idea was basically the survival of the fittest, and the survival of it was coined by this Yale professor who basically said those who are financially fit are those who succeed and put forth the effort, and they're the ones who are going to drive society, and they are the ones who are going to, make things work and all this other stuff. And if people can't keep up, then, they just like the idea behind evolution that they should just die off and quit. And
I think the modern term for that would be the hustle mindset.
Yes.
The hustle mentality.
Look at that beautiful girl. Look at that.
It's like, hey, there she is.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Travis. Go ahead.
But yeah, I think that's probably social Darwinism. I think I would rephrase it to what it's called now. It's like, yeah, that hustle mindset. It's like all these influencers always telling you, like, you got to work 16 hours a day and get your ice bath in and all this other bullshit, and you got to work your life away, and then hopefully in 10 years, or it's always, I saw something. Someone's like, the cost of living, the phrase cost of living is such a screwed up term if you really unpack it and you really think about it. Like, am I wrong in that statement? Like, if you really sit down and think about it, like, people dedicate their whole lives to like that cost of living, and it's like, think of how much time goes into our day just to afford to live.
Well,
if you really think about it, it's kind of depressing.
When you look at that from an economic or historian standpoint, so when you use the cost of living as basically your amount of money needed to, now, this is a very loose definition, but basic expenses, whether it's housing, food, taxes, healthcare, fuel, and I don't even know what the median income is right now of the American what average income is right
I
now.
will Google that.
But to say that the cost of living is to calculate the cost of living. That's a changing equation every day. Cassie McGuire again just said formula as a joke should never be that difficult or expensive. Absolutely. When you have to struggle, and we can kind of tie this in with another statement because a lot of people misheard I shouldn't say misheard, but maybe misinterpreted. One of the other lyrics in the song is about the 5'3", 300-pound person on welfare. It wasn't, if you read the whole context of that lyric, it ties in with the whole thing about the value of the dollar because it's basically, he goes on to say that the system is keeping those people down on purpose. Yes, sir.
I have a number for you. This is from the census.gov. This was September 13, 2022. Real median household income was 70,784 in 2021. Household income.
And
so now I don't know if that's one person working in the household or if that's two people working in the household.
When you get to the actual definition of who, because in situations where like what some people are in where they're having to you bring in all these other extras. You're talking median income of $70,000, whereas what our current cost of living is currently, and that's also difficult to try to average out and say, okay, what's the let me bring this up here. So Missouri, the cost of living in Missouri is 9% lower than the national average. Housing is 19% lower than the national average, while utilities are 6% lower. Okay, so that's in Missouri. Okay, by state, and so by state, where would you say the highest cost of living is at?
I would say either New York or California.
Hawaii.
Oh, Hawaii too. Very expensive cost of living out there.
Yeah. Then it goes Hawaii, D.C., Massachusetts, then California, then New York, and then New York, and then actually $1 less per whatever you want to call it is Alaska. Okay.
Yeah, Alaska is very high cost as well.
Yeah, you know all about that Alaska living. So when you bring all this in, and with inflation doing what it's doing right now, how can the average with median income, okay, when you compare,
but
go ahead.
We're going off median income based off this is median income based off the whole country, not just the individual states. So it's kind of hard to, but again, I've seen charts and I've heard analysts talk. The rate of income is not increasing with the rate of inflation. It's not. People's money coming in is not keeping up with it.
So this review was updated on June 2023. So this is from World Population Review. And one of the things that they say here, and this actually, it says the average household in the United States spends, okay, now you said median income around $70,000 2 years ago. So this year, as of June, the average household in the United States spends $61,000 a year on expenses. On average, that's 34.9% of spending, or roughly $1,784 a month, is dedicated to housing-related costs. Okay. Nationwide, the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment runs $1,154 a month. The average American household dedicates a further 16% on spending on transportation, an average of over $9,000 a year. Average health care cost, $5,000. No, that's not talking insurance. That's pay money out of pocket. $5,000. Food, including groceries and eating out, cost another $7,000 a year, or $609 a month. Okay, now I would love to know if that's a family of how many or what that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors.
There's a lot of factors that go into that. But you mentioned like in California where Sean's at. California has the nation's third highest cost of living index, which is almost 1.5 times the national average. It's actually 142.2. So almost, you're getting close to 1.5 times. California's transportation costs are the second highest in the country due to part and high gas prices state. Housing in California is twice the national average with a single home price. Good God!
Have you ever
a typical single family home priced at $683,000.
Yes, if people are curious, I've done this before because I'm always on Zillow because I'm obsessed with that app. Go on Zillow and look at real estate in California. It is wild what a mobile home and a trailer park goes for out there.
Oh, please!
Fucking wild.
What would be an example? Just ballpark.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
300, 400,000. That was like the average prices of a mobile home when I was looking out there. Because I'm always looking. It's wild. It blows my mind how much it goes for out there. Sean, I'm sure you're all too familiar with it. I'm sure you see it and you're like, what the hell? Or even like a one-bedroom apartment. You try to buy a one-bedroom apartment out there, they go for like 250, 300,000 too.
Whenever you said, the average for a two-bedroom, apartment was $1,100, I would kill someone in the street right now to pay $1,100 just for rent. I have a one-bedroom that's more than double that. Okay. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how expensive things are out here. But they're getting that way. Rent is one thing. Rent is astronomically high here. I knew that coming into this. Can't fix that. But like, groceries are fucking ridiculous. Like, there's little things that I'll notice, like junk food that I ate as a kid, right? Like those Tostitos pizzas, those little square, you throw them in, they used to be 99 cents. Yes. On good sale days, you get them for 89 cents. They're like $3 now. I've seen them like go on sale for they're like $1.80, like on sale. And it's little things like milk sometimes fluctuates in the cost of a gallon of gas for milk.
Don't forget the taxes.
Eggs. And like, I understand when there's, a bad, bird flu epidemic. Like I remember, was it earlier this year or late last year? Eggs were like
the price
$4.
Of eggs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is, Uh-oh. We lost Sean there for a second. He'll come back on here in a bit. What are you seeing up in Chicagoland, Travis?
As far as groceries?
Yeah.
It's been about the same. I didn't really see a lot of the crazy egg prices that people did.
Yeah.
The highest my eggs got was like 2 and some change. I go to Trader Joe's, and I mean I can't tell you the last time I spent over $2 for a carton of eggs. It stayed pretty consistent there.
I choose, what everybody says about, Missouri versus Illinois on taxes and prices and this and that and the other. I think it's more of a farce, but in this part of the country, we've got it to where I think that we've got it relatively, I don't want to say relatively good. We've got it the best, but I mean, we've got it to where it's not killing us, I would,
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, you can compare wages to like Missouri and Illinois. I mean, I depending on what trade or what industry you're in, like I think they support to an extent what that cost of living is, but it depends on, obviously, like I said, what job it is and that kind of thing. But like, for example, I'm sure if you compared wages for we'll even say like a place like St. Charles or something, Missouri, like for teaching, and then compare to a suburb in like Chicago or something, I would assume that the wages would be higher in the Chicago suburb than it would be in the St. Louis suburb, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think you see that in most industries, like wages are higher in California depending on the wages and stuff like that. I know there's like electricians in New York that make like $60-something an hour, but again, the cost of living in New York is you're paying a lot of money just for rent too. So they got high rent prices there as well.
So I guess my next question that I would ask to pose to you guys is this. With the point of this song being about how much do you think we're really are we as an American population, are we really in the dark as to how much the government is behind this? Do you think that there's a deep dark hand behind this that's manipulating this to favor a certain group over the others? I know we have our tinfoil hats on about the whole Hawaii thing. We talked about that in our group chat and everything. But I mean, is it just a sign of the times that is somebody trying to get ahead farther than others, or are we targeting?
Well, okay, so the way that I kind of splice it, and we can look at this like based off of how COVID was. Like, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Corporations, and I hate being but corporations took advantage of people. They really did, and they still do to this day. Like, again, this is just a prime example of, guess what? People are going to be selfish. Do I think that people deserve, like, I've never been a fuck the billionaires club, but I am getting more and more frustrated with a lot of them. Like, when it comes to, so for example, I'll just use this strike as an example, right? Where all of these, I understand it's a risky thing because you have to make, hold on, I got to mute it. You guys go on a rant.
Well, and I was going to go along the same lines that you were going with there, Sean, with the COVID was the perfect excuse for everybody to hike everything up. And you see that with, I mean, it's the same concept that plays out in, like, with gasoline. The price of gasoline goes up. Okay, well, price of gas goes up. Well, that's going to drive the price of everything else up because of the price to transport goods, the price to make the goods, and everything goes into effect. But then, all right, so the COVID situation dies back down. Gas prices get relatively back to where, they're not quite back to where they should be, but where are the prices of everything at? The prices of everything else are you're muted, Travis. The prices of everything else are staying up here. Okay, we're not in, is it out and out greed that the corporations are using this excuse as a way to make a higher profit, and they're saying, okay, we're going to screw the little guy, we're going to keep you in your place, and at the same time, and again, go back to what the song is saying. There's an essence to me of this song that the businessmen and the government are in bed with each other because it's about who can pull the highest paycheck. Am I wrong on that, or what's your intake, or what's your take on that?
No, I think you're right in what you said. I was listening to a podcast today with Andy Frisella. He's the CEO of First Form, and he was talking about this specific thing that we're talking about now. God, he goes on this rant and talks about, like, taxes, and this goes into the song as well. Just look at taxes, right? And he goes on as far as to say that, like, you are not free in the U.S. And he goes on to say, like, most people think that, oh, we need to tax the corporations. They need to pay more taxes. And it's like they tell you that the people with lower income aren't going to pay the taxes. But he makes the claim is like, you're honestly, if you really break it down, you're spending 50% tax like everyone else. He's like, sure, you're only taxed so much in your income. What do you pay every time you get groceries? What do you pay every time you get gas? What do you pay on the property that you own? What do you pay on sales depending on what you sell? Taxes. You get taxed to death on everything. You work overtime. Another thing he mentions in the song. What happens to your overtime? You get taxed more on the overtime that you work than your straight time, which is complete BS. And overtime wasn't created as a reward for the employee. Overtime was created to punish companies for making you work past 40 hours. Now, granted, if you're someone that likes to make money, you're like, okay, you see it as a reward, cool, but you get taxed more on it, which to me, I think is ass backwards. If you're encouraging hard work and
you're not rewarded,
you want to encourage people investing into the economy, investing into other businesses and stuff like that, I would think maybe you would make people for overtime pay less taxes. But again, that's, what do I know, right?
Well, I think. So let's go ahead and move into the the aspect of what he said there. That's a good transition.
And where's our tax money going?
Can I finish what I?
Sure, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
Please,
yeah,
please finish, Sean.
Yeah.
So when we look at like certain things when it comes to some of these bigger companies, corporations, whatever it might be, like look at Disney for example. Okay, a new, they like the president, Iger, came back. I forget what position he was in, but had retired. He came back, replaced the guy, and then signed a record-breaking deal for that position. And yet we have a bunch of individuals, writers, all these people that are not asking for a lot. They're quite literally asking for the bare minimum, that if their show gets streamed more, they get money. They get more money. That's the brass tacks of it. Because when shows used to go into syndication, because that's where the issue lies, is when shows will go into syndication on network television, people would continue to get paid because there's advertisers for network television. There's not advertisers for streaming. So these people aren't getting residuals for streaming. So even if, like, let's say The Office, for example, right? Let's say that show was only on streaming. It never made it on network television, but it still had, like, it's still one of the top 5 most streamed shows in the United States to this day. Those actors wouldn't see a dime, even though that show continues to make money over time. Those individuals don't see a dime for it. So that's where the problem is all of these different, at least in Hollywood, all these different studios are having record-breaking year after year, which is great for the stockholders, but they're trying to make their stockholders more money, and they want it to look good, so they keep their stockholders happy. But then the problem is, who pays for it? The employees, because the employees aren't getting raises. The employees aren't seeing the benefit of all this. And it's the same thing for, again, when COVID happened and all these different companies started charging a lot more for products, because again, I understand when things were limited, there was limited availability for a lot of things. But like Travis and I, for example, there was a company that we both really, really liked. And when COVID happened, they cited supply chain issues as a reason why they just didn't have product. The problem is it was bullshit, because it was years later after the fact, like the supply chain was not an issue. They just wanted to continue.
They're still claiming that, I'm pretty sure, too.
Yes. This company like continues to charge more. They used to have better deals. And I understand, like, they have things to do as a business, but like, at least they lost Travis and I as a customer because they completely went after the money. Whereas when they first started about the company, it legitimately felt like they were in it to put the best product possible out there. I mean, and that's the same gripe that I had with Andy Frisella is, yeah, he has a phenomenal product, and yet it is $1 billion fucking dollars to buy anything from that company. Like, he's the last one that I want to hear talking about all these greedy fat cats. Like, dude, fuck you. Your hair, skin, and nail product is $45. Like, when I've looked, and here's the thing, I've looked at the bottle, I've looked at the ingredients, and it's the same shit that you can get for $12 at Target. So Andy Frisella is the last guy.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's not the first form quality though. You're paying for the quality in the product and the craftsmanship.
No, that guy is a glorified cult leader. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's what Andy Frisella.
I would actually agree with you on that.
That dude, that's a conversation for another day. But that guy,
have you listened to his podcast? By the way, just a question for you, Sean. Have you listened to it?
I've heard him talk. I don't listen to it regularly. I have heard episodes of it though. I've heard
hardcore MAGA, dude.
Oh, dude,
the last person I would expect to be that, but yeah.
Look, anyway, hey, it doesn't surprise me. A guy that rakes in millions of dollars a year, pays, like, legit scams his employees to work for $13 an hour in a warehouse.
Yeah, the warehouse guys don't. And then like they start on a warehouse and then they like hope to get a position in like the office.
Hope to get a position, but guess what? You get access to a cool gym. Great. You want to know what else? He puts on a music festival once a year. Yeah. He's a psychopath.
So I'll go real quick story. I applied for that job, right? And I had an interview with those guys, and they were literally telling me, like, you're gonna work like 60 to 70 hours a week in the warehouse. I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, like it's like competition. Like it's like how much can you, like, how many boxes can you get packed and stuff like that? Yep. It's a very competitive environment. He's like, our guys are drinking pre-workout and stuff like that. And I was like, that sounds fucking terrible. $13 an hour drinking pre-workout and competing with guys to pack boxes. Like, you work in a warehouse. It's terrible. And I was like, you want me to work in your warehouse for $13 an hour, but it's first form. Get the out of here, man. Like, anyway, sorry, tangent
No,
over.
that's great. That's
That
great.
interview was
No,
terrible.
that's
Those guys were like trolling me the whole time too. It was so uncomfortable. I was like, yeah,
so, the thing that
over.
bothers me
Sorry.
is when you what you want to. I understand why big business and why there's the whole thing behind profit motive. And there's the whole idea behind, in government, profit motive for business, taxation for the government. But you mentioned that you started with that a few minutes ago, Travis, when you said, okay, where are taxes going to? When you start breaking down, and there's tons of watchdog groups, legitimate watchdog groups you can go look at. When I do my unit on taxation for government, and I do the top 10, and I forgot that I don't have it right in front of me, but I have it bookmarked somewhere on my computer. These watchdog groups who come up with like the 15 or 20 most outlandish things that taxation is spent on. That's spent on. That the one that's, and I used it with you guys. I remember it's still the one I used. It was on there for like a couple of years until it got defunded. Like this, it was like a $2 million grant to the University of Wisconsin to investigate the effect of methane gas emission from cow crap on the ozone layers. Okay, first of all, why does the government need to be paying for that? Why does my tax dollar need to be going? How is that going to benefit?
That's a whole rabbit hole you could go down.
Oh, I know, but just only in so. I think when I just wrap my mind around taxation, especially in Missouri, especially when I pay personal property tax, which I think is the most ignorant concept in the world. Okay, I have the title for my truck and my van right up here in my safe. If you want to rob me, that's where it's at. But in my safety safe box right up here. Okay, got the title right up here. But I'm still paying to own my truck and my van. Even though it's paid, I have to pay to own my own vehicle. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so I go and then I work, just like you guys do. We're all three, blue collar, white collar, but then we're getting taxed to spend on this outlandish crap that really doesn't benefit you or I, but it goes to benefit the welfare system. Now, is the welfare system a terrible thing? No, it's not, because the welfare system helps people who need it. But at the same time, in that part of the song where he says the government doesn't do anything to help lift you up out of that. They want you to be dependent upon them, because as long as you're dependent upon them, that's a vote. That's a vote. We don't want to. If you were to corner a politician, and they're not going to tell you the truth anyway, but if you were to truthfully hold a gun up to their head and say, why aren't we reforming the welfare system? Because when you really break it down, it's all about votes. If we're providing something for someone and we say, we're going to provide this for you and we're going to keep on providing it for you and we're not going to give you an incentive to better yourself.
Well, no, they have to have a problem to campaign on.
Right.
And they have to,
right.
Like, we are the solution to the problem that we created.
How convenient is that?
And the advice that they give people is so ass backwards. I mean, if you look at the food pyramid that they put out this year,
oh my God,
wild, absolutely wild. I was listening. There was this veteran who was talking about. It was that podcast I was saying you guys with the Afghanistan guy. He had messed his back up. He was an Air Force guy, and he had back issues, and they ended up getting medically discharged. And they pretty much told him, don't lift weights, you can't do any kind of exercise. You pretty much you gotta be very easy on your back and stuff like that. And after he got out, he said that was like the worst my body's ever felt, that 6-month period of doing nothing. He's like, I took their advice, I did nothing, and it got worse. And then he's like, I went back to the gym, I started doing physical therapy, I started eating better, I took care of myself, I lifted weights, do this stuff, fixed all my problems, back to normal. So it's like it's such ass backwards advice that they give you for stuff like that. And why do they tell you that advice?
And why is it expensive to eat? You want to go down that route? Why is it expensive to eat healthy? Why is it expensive to eat healthy? I can buy, again, you and this plays into what I mean, it's a whole vicious cycle to keep people in a certain way, to make them dependent upon whoever. If I want to go out and buy fruit, vegetables, my daughter lives off of fruit. I mean, I could just give her strawberries. I could give her strawberries and bananas and blueberries, and she could be happy for life. But when you're, okay, so I can go out and buy a 2-pound box of strawberries for $8.50. Okay. Or I could go buy a box of strawberry Pop-Tarts for $3.75. Okay. That kind of thing, and okay. Yeah. And then you mentioned your buddy. Okay. Hey, don't get better. And I mean, that's what I'm hearing you say. Don't get better. Just
They give that kind of advice to vets all the time, like it's vets specifically. But like, if you look at like people who have like, for example, they have like your normal average American who's like, let's say someone is, say they're overweight or they have diabetes or stuff like that. Like the advice they get usually is like, again, it's kind of ass backwards. It's like, I mean, like I said, I talked about the food pyramid. They were saying like Cheerios was healthier than red meat, which is mind blowing. And there's like a lot of studies that are coming out now that like meat, like organic meat is like one of the healthiest things you could eat for your body. That's why there's this whole carnivore trends right now. But like even then, like people are like so dependent. It's designed to make people dependent on the system. I truly believe that with a lot of these big.
One of our listeners said because unhealthy people generate more money in the healthcare system.
Yeah, because they're paying into it. They're paying into it, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the other frustrating things, because we've talked about like how things have gotten more expensive. Like I remember, this is a shift that I have seen in the last 10 years even. So when I was in high school, I remember, where did you go whenever you wanted like cheap veggies and stuff like that? Farmers markets. You go to a farmer's market and you could get fresh vegetables from different local growers at a relatively good price. But the way that things have trended now, and part of that's also due to social media and like how people have been pushing things like this, farmers markets aren't cheap anymore like they used to be.
It's the way it's marketed now and advertised. It's advertised
100%,
as like a higher quality, farm to table. Like it's like a brand almost now,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I've been looking a lot at like if we come back to Missouri as a family, one thing that we kind of want to do is homestead. We really want a homestead where you have.
I think a lot of people are going that direction now.
Even
push for that.
Even if you have an acre, you raise chickens, for butchering, you raise potentially like a dairy cow in a small small space. But what's crazy is I've watched a video that I followed of this guy that does homesteading, and he sells his chickens, and this dude sells meat chickens for like $15 a bird. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, there's no chicken is worth $15 when you go to Costco and get the Dwayne The Rock Johnson rotisserie for like $4. You know what I'm saying? Like, those chickens are juiced out of their minds, but hey, still $4. Like, there's a lot of problems.
Loaded up with sodium too, but
Devin Linton
but
said,
no, that's one of the biggest frustrating things is if you want to eat healthy, it costs a lot of money. And it's crazy. Like going to the grocery store, I legit feel disrespected when I go to the grocery store now, and I'll look at a cart, and I know that if like the way that I splice it is, if the bottom of my cart, if I can't see anything at the bottom, that's going to be a $150 cart. Like guaranteed, it's a $150 cart if I can't see the floor through it. And that doesn't even include like if it gets to the top. If it gets to the top, sign off, man. It's ridiculous.
Boys, I wanna interject something real quick here. So Cassie McGuire just sent me a screenshot of our live chat that's on Facebook right now, and some of the comments that we're making. I'm not making this up. Her brother Kyle and Cassie have been making comments, and I haven't been able to get to them all. But Facebook is saying this comment is hidden because it might include sensitive content or spam.
Which comment?
Let me look here. Which one is it? The I don't know. I'm trying to I can't match them up here right now. Kyle mentioned earlier about price of groceries in Chicago and stuff like that. Oh, the other one about how where's it at? Taxes higher in Illinois. That was about it. He said, but I mean, here
How's
again,
that sensitive?
we're talking in real time. This and
What?
we're
That doesn't
talking
make
we're
any
talking
sense.
in real time, and this is even something even more that pisses me off. That so you bring in, I'm biting the hand that partially feeds us here, but again, what is the suppression? What is the suppression of saying you cannot express your frustration? I'm surprised. I actually am surprised that this guy hasn't been taken down. But he's hit a nerve. He's hit a nerve, and I love the fact, Travis, like you said earlier. He said, "I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat." You know, I first saw this. I was like, okay, I've got to see if this guy. I got to see it. I got to see if this guy's a MAGA guy. And he's like, nope. You know,
Which is
he's
it's really unfortunate that like someone with that stance, which gets thrown into that category, which I don't
yeah,
think
no, but
that should.
he's making a point. He's making
He is making a point, and there's a lot of reality to what he's claiming.
and he's making a point to what we've been saying all along. We've said this 100 times on this podcast over our three seasons, and that is that politicians, news media, social media thrives off of division, and that, you know, the all famous, you know, one of the other things that was quoted on our chat board tonight was a quote by Ronald Reagan. You know, something you never want to hear from a politician. Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. All right. There's no, and when you try to talk about the issue, you get stuff like this from Facebook and saying, you know, that our little podcast, that, you know, we average between 50 and 100 viewers a week, and we're in real time being censored for our content. I mean, I'll forward this on to you guys. You guys got to see this, but
They're censoring us for this, but they didn't censor us when we talked about sex cults in the U.S.
yeah.
That seems kind of ass backwards, but okay.
Here I'm sending it to you guys right now. You have to see this, but so
That's kind of cool, though. It was only a matter of time.
no, but I think that in this next election, let's move it on. We've got a few minutes left here. Let's move it to this point here. Okay. I can tell Travis is looking at it right now.
I'm so confused. I'm sorry.
But so they played this song at the Republican debate. Was the Republican debate? It was last week, I believe it was. It was, they had 8.
Did they?
Yeah, and so they played this song. They played the so the question that was so the one of the first questions that was asked was, why is Richmond, north of Richmond, striking such a nerve in the country right now? And so then all these guys they're using it as their rallying cry, you know, that, oh, I'm your man. And then you know, Anthony Oliver basically says, it was funny seeing it in the presidential debate because it's like, I wrote that song about those people. That song has nothing to do with Joe Biden. You know, it's a lot bigger than Joe Biden. That song was written about the people on that stage and a lot more, not just them, but definitely them. You know, So what, you know, the fact that it's like I said, 2 weeks at country Billboard's top Hot 100, number one, not signed any record deal, but you know, like I said, I don't know if it's being played on. If any of our listeners can tell us if it's being played on, if it's getting airplay on the radio or not, I don't know. Like I said, if anybody can tell us that if it's being played, But what is this? Is this going to be something that's going to stick in? Is going to have an effect? I mean, is this a rally? Do you guys think this is going to be a rallying cry for people, or what do you think the impact of this song is going to be?
I mean, I think that's the general consensus of how a lot of people feel right now. I would say the majority of people are feeling what this guy's singing about, and those are big issues going into this next elections, and um, so it's going to be curious to see. I think people are starting to wake up to the idea that it's not a political party that's going to save them. It's not an ideology that's going to save them. I think people are starting to pay more attention. I hope they're starting to pay more attention to politicians, like start paying attention to the actual people and not just, the narratives are getting thrown around. And I
So,
don't know. I hope it seems like people are paying more attention because they can relate to what this guy's saying. And if people can pay more attention, I think we can make better decisions on voting. And I really hope people make educated decisions on voting this next election.
what?
Yeah,
But we'll see. I don't
yeah.
know if that's going to be reality or not.
I hope people to really, one thing that I don't think's done enough, and I'm, I know better at this, and it's one thing that I want to do moving forward is I don't think people are vocal enough as a whole. There are people that are loud, but locally with their local and state governments, I don't think people care enough until it's like a big matter that affects them. But um, no, I wish that of our locally elected officials that more because I mean I speak from someone that we've all lived in Pike, Lincoln County. At that point, the people that represent your county, it's more of a popularity contest. Like people give a shit less
But what you
about
stand
who
for, right?
is at what they're actually doing
Right.
when they're in Jefferson City. It's just a matter of like, oh, I recognize that name, I'm going to vote for that person. But it's like, I'm with you guys. Like we discussed a little bit ago, like property tax is the biggest crime I think that this country faces. Like I hate it with a burning passion. And, it's why, what's the holdup with locally elected officials that's not brought, to the chamber floors more often, things like that, like I think that so often we get blindsided by the big stuff that the bare brass that kind of affects us like on our day-to-day lives. We don't see it often. It's like the same thing. Like in Missouri, we're blessed, but we don't have toll roads, right? You go to sometimes when you're driving across a state, you're like real inconvenience because they don't take card, and you got to pay $3 to cross a highway. Like it's crazy. Like so, I don't know how people in Louisville, Kentucky, right? There's a bridge that a lot of people cross for commuting if to go to Indiana, I think. And just to do that, if you don't have like the year-long pass, which is rather expensive, it's like $4 just to cross this bridge. So if you had to make that drive every day for work, like that would be $20, right? For a week's worth just to go to work. 4 weeks, a total of $80 just to get to work, unless you pay like the yearly,
If
$200 fee
I
just to use a road.
We get tolls here. If I drive my car to work like throughout the week, I'll spend anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks a week in tolls, depending on where I'm working and stuff. If it's local, for
It's
sure.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me.
I,
It's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really stupid.
I want to read one more comment that we had here. Colin Dugan, our buddy Colin Dugan, says more and more people are starting to realize that we all generally agree on these major issues, whatever they may be, and don't understand why we vote and pay all these taxes just to be told it's one extreme or the other. At the end of the day, it's always one side trying to make legislation in hopes no one reads the fine print to sneak whatever benefits them in, usually ridiculous amounts of spending, I may add. Great point,
Yeah.
Colin. That's a great point. You know, because the art of compromise is missing from government. We no longer have an us. Well, there is an us. There's an us and them. There's no longer just a united point. And as we come up on the what are we coming up on the 22nd anniversary of September 11th? We're going to be here in a couple of weeks. We're 22 years, And this was early on in my, we might revisit this when we get to the actual anniversary. We may talk about this here in a couple of weeks. As an adult, as an older guy, in my opinion, this was the last time that I saw us come together as a nation where there wasn't, and it was one of those few times, even though George Bush used it as a springboard to go after Saddam Hussein and finish the job that his dad didn't get finished. It was still a president. It was our political leaders, Republicans and Democrats, going out on the Capitol steps together, Republican and Democrats holding hands and saying a prayer outside on the Capitol steps. It was people who were Jewish and Catholic and Baptist and people who were coming together. And now it's how divided can we get, and how far to hell in a handbasket can we carry the country to me, part of the reason why I kind of have to take a break from this song, and I was kind of leery about talking about this song, is because it literally makes my heart hurt. It makes me hurt. It makes me just in my mind just to think how separated the country has become within. I'm not ancient. I'm 49 years old, and in my 49 years, I've seen us go from, hey, we're just a bunch of people out here just working along, plugging along together, to now to where we are so this, that, and the other, and this, and I think the one line that Oliver Anthony said, he called himself an old soul, and that resonated with me because he was singing stuff that I was feeling, that I just see it. And like we said before, this is gonna, this woke up a lot of people. Because I watched a TikTok the other day it was about 25, 30 people who were listening to the song and shaking their head, and just, it was everybody from, black, white to Asian to people wearing people who were listening to the song and giving their live reactions. I agree exactly with what you guys said. This is something definitely that is that has really struck a nerve. So, and again, middle finger to Facebook for censoring us, and screw you and the horse you rode in
on. Can I make one announcement before we close this out?
Yes, please.
Real quick, we want to do an episode on the disastrous withdrawal of Afghanistan. I reached out on my social media. I didn't get any takers. If you are a Iraq or Afghanistan veteran, you're interested in coming on and talking about that, please DM us. We'd love to have you on. I could talk with you guys, share you some podcasts and some info. If you're not already up to date with it, I'm sure you guys are. And would love to just sit down and have a conversation about the whole thing and talk about lack of accountability and many other things. For those who don't know, Saturday was the 2-year anniversary of the attack on the airport where they were doing the evacuation. 13 service members lost their lives, and our president didn't even acknowledge it, which kind of felt like a slap in the face considering he was president and the leader of the country when that happened. Anyway, something I really want to talk about, something that's really irked me and really had me in just a shitty mood all weekend thinking about it. I really want to get information out there to people I don't think really know exactly what went on, other than it was bad. It was a disaster, and I don't think people realize that. And absolutely nobody has been held accountable for how bad it was. So anyway, please hit us up if you're interested in talking about it. That's all I got.
I also want to thank our viewers tonight. Man, I love the nights when the chat board, this is one of those nights, fellas, the chat board was just full from top to bottom. Thank you guys for contributing tonight. I didn't get to all of Colin's comments. Kim McGuire, Devin Linton, Jamin Graham. Thank you guys all for chiming in tonight. Travis Pruitt, thank you for your comments tonight. You guys make this an awesome podcast. It's not just, it's not us, it's you guys and your input. Keep on keeping on for us. We love it. Take us home, Sean.
No, seriously. Yeah. Well, no, again, guys, it was great to talk to you guys. People that were in the chat, thank you all so much. Continue to do what you do as we continue to grow. Slow but steady, wins the race. So we are here for the long haul, and again, it's always a blessing to talk to you guys. And I hope that both of you have a good rest of your week, and to all our listeners as well. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to the Voice of Reason podcast. Be sure to check out our other content on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.